Welcome back to our verse by verse study on the book of Hebrews. I'm William Stewart, co founder of Telios. Welcome. We're in chapter 7 in one of the comparisons of the author that he's making to Christ and other elements of the Jewish religion. He's doing this to show the immature Christian Hebrews to whom he's writing that they should follow Christ in their Christian life after becoming saved, at least we think most of them, by faith alone in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. What's good enough for salvation is good enough for their Christian walk. So this fourth comparison, and the first three have been comparison of Christ to the angels, to Moses, to the priests, and now to the law, sort of combined with the priest. You could say there's three, but it's probably sort of neater to say it's four, but I'll leave that up to you. So we're now in verses 15 to 17 today. And he goes back to, again, describing Melchizedek, the great high priest, talked about in Genesis 14 and reiterated in Psalm 110, 4, this great high priest that appeared, to whom Abraham appeared or went to after he defeated the Mesopotamians and tithed in a way of submission to this king in Salem, which is probably Jerusalem, thus submitting himself to him. The king then, as a priest, blessed him. And of course, it says a little earlier in the chapter that the greater blesses the lower. So in verse 15, it says today in the King James, and it is yet far more evident. This is a word in the original Greek language, which is interesting, revealed, but kata revealed, or down revealed, or nailed down revealed. Very, very evident. It's the only place it's used in Scripture. For that after the similitude or likeness of Melchizedek, there arises another priest. So, saying essentially that Melchizedek was a type of Christ. Remember, we discussed that he was without beginning, without end, without mother, without father, like the Son of God. So he's there as a type, otherwise, something in the new person or in the Old Testament that teaches the coming Messiah, to whom the Old Testament saints could learn what to expect in the Messiah that would come and save them from their sins, but also what we can learn in the New Testament of the amazing plan of God to salvation, which Book of Hebrews teaches us so much. So this Melchizedek, you remember, means king of righteousness in the original Hebrew. In the Old Testament, riseth another priest. In this case, it is Christ. Verse 16, who is made not after the law of the carnal commandment, and carnal here and in other places in the New Testament means fleshly, sarkanos. Sark is a noun, sarkanos is the adjective, means literally like flesh in our body, and it means in an abstract sense human, not pure, sinful. So the law of the sinful commandment, otherwise the Mosaic law, produced even more sin because they told the Jews what was sin more precisely, and thus when they did sin, they knew more of how they were sinning, and they were sinning after knowledge because they didn't have the nature, us being depraved and impure as fallen people after Adam, thus an increased sin and was counted against them, as you would read in Hebrews 5, 11 through 14, or excuse me, Romans 5, verses 11 to 14. So he's not after the law of Moses. Remember, the law could not produce salvation. The law, as we just read in the prior verses, could not produce perfection, but after the power of an endless life. Christ being God, has endless life. 17, for he testifieth, and this is the Psalm, for thou art a priest, God testifies in the Psalm 110, 4, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The order here being the priestly order, in contrast to Aaron, the high priest of the Mosaic order. Aaron, the brother of Moses, founded the priestly order of, by God's choice, of the Mosaic law. However, remember, Melchizedek was a greater high priest, didn't die, he was eternal, and Abraham sacrificed in submission to Melchizedek, as did Aaron, because he was in the loins of Abraham. So Abraham begot Aaron, as did Moses, and Aaron is sacrificing, submitting to Melchizedek, a greater high priest. Okay, all this is really important because salvation comes after Christ through the order of Melchizedek, not through the law. It comes through Abraham, who submitted to Melchizedek. So a better priest, better promises. And so we'll continue this discussion next time. I do want to make a correction. I said several times before that Lot was the brother of Abraham, and that is a mistake. He's the nephew of Abraham. So I apologize. Okay, thanks for joining me. See you next time.